Coach, first of all, it's an honor to sit here and speak with you, a man of great influence. And you and I know, you more than I, we know that coaching is much more than drawing up plays and giving halftime speeches and finding, the prospects out there, but it's about being a role model and being a father figure in some sense to many of the boys that come through your program. And you see that. And before I tell you how Thomas Davis described you, how would you describe Thomas Davis's relationship, you and him?
Thomas and I, we probably got closer after he left as far as friends. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the player-coach relationship is a little bit different. You recruit a guy when he's a young man and just learning how to grow up in a lot of ways, learn how to mature in a lot of ways. And I really didn't know for sure what we had in Thomas through the recruiting process, because you don't get to spend a massive amount of time with him. But every time I turned around, I just saw a guy that was really solid in his approach to life. He worked hard. He cared. He seemed to be a good teammate. He seemed to be a good friend to people. I don't think I ever had an issue with him getting in any kind of trouble. I don't think we ever had to chase him around academically, but he just took care of business. And I think he really enjoyed being at Georgia. But of course, then after he left, we had more communication about just the next phase in life for him. Some guys will come ask coach, some guys don't, and he did. And one thing he did that maybe can tell people the most about him was the night before the draft. He called his position coach, and thanked us for everything that we had done for him. And he knew he was about to get drafted pretty high, or figured he would. And he just wanted to take a minute to say thanks before that happened. So it meant a lot to me that he would do that.
Right. Well, in the way he described you, is he described obviously the University of Georgia as a great place, but when he started describing you, he started bringing in the verbiage of it was home because of you. It wasn't because of the school or the location. It's because of what you meant to him. And when he was describing your relationship, he said that he admired your approach to fatherhood and approach to fathering and leading your family before he mentioned how great a coach you were. And that stood out to me because he told me that it helped determine and help mold him into who he is for his family and how he leads his family and who he is for our community in Charlotte, North Carolina, and all the morals behind just being a great football player. Is way more than that. And you helped to mold that, and it was very, very clear. When we're talking about influence, obviously you had a great influence in his life and still do, even if you don't get to talk very much now. So when you hear the word influence, that can mean a lot to different people, but what is it? What is that to you? That's a broad question, but.
Right. Well, if you, we all have a circle of people that we're around. We all touch somebody's life in some way, shape, or form, and anybody that we can have an effect on, we have influence over. A lot of people say leadership. The definition of leadership is influence. The question is, what type of influence are you going to have on people around you? And a lot of that is determined by how much you care about others and how much you understand that you're really not the most important person in the world all the time. I think Thomas is a good example of that.
Well, I'm sure you've seen your influence portrayed in the young men that you've coached over the years. Is there any example other than Thomas that just, as far as just what you've seen your impact on at Georgia?
Well, it's hard to say because everybody's influenced by so many different people, but another guy at Georgia I got very close to was David Jacobs, a young man who, way back when I first got here, ended up suffering a stroke, and I was there in the hospital with him, and was actually praying for him and crying for him, and thinking he was out of it, but he wasn't out of it. He couldn't speak, he couldn't communicate. He thought he was communicating, but he could hear, he could listen, he knew, he could see, how much I cared about him, and we've been pretty much best friends ever since. And I'm the godfather to his first son, so he's another guy that I think we came real close.
Yeah, that's cool. Is there a certain time in your life where you can recall a tipping point where you realized that you either needed to work harder or need to get in gear, or what, just take it to another level to reach your maximum potential?
As far as people that have influenced me, or
just in general, maybe it was as a result of someone influencing you. It's going to lead to the next question of who's right. Influencing you or who has. So,
well, I was always motivated by sports because it was fun. But if you're good at something, you get patted on the back, or somebody says you're good. It makes you feel good about yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think sports was obviously a big factor in my life, and so coaches in general. I mean, Roger Coffey, my high school coach, kind of took me under his wing and said, "Look, if you want to play some," he said, "if you come with me, basically, and just play football." I was kind of a football, basketball, baseball guy. He goes, "If you come and just work on football and be my quarterback, I'll help you get a scholarship, and I'll take you under my wing and teach you everything about the game." And so I kind of followed that lead just because he invited me to, and everything he said came true in that regard. So I got highly motivated to, be a great quarterback. That was my deal, But then, after the playing days were over, and getting into the coaching business, Coach Bowden at Florida State was a very strong influence on me just by how he went about his business. And there was a crisis at Florida State. One of our players got shot and killed. And long story short, when he addressed the team, he basically said, "You guys are 18 to 22. You think you're going to live forever. Do you know if that was you last night, instead of Pablo, where you would spend eternity?" And I was in the back of the room as a young graduate assistant coach, and I was like, "I know where I'm going. It's not very good." So the next day I went to go see Coach Bowden, and he led me to the Lord right there, prayed to receive Christ. So that was the greatest gift I've ever gotten from a human being, to someone to, present the gospel, and I responded to that. So that was a big deal. I mean, my dad obviously was mom and dad, huge influences on me as well.
So if you were to pinpoint someone.
Just one?
Someone that we could get next.
Well, I might have to go get Coach Bowden. Unfortunately, Roger Coffey's passed away. But I think, what Coach Bowden, the influence he had on me to help me choose Christ and be eternally secure. I mean, I can't sit there and compare that to anything else in life.
Right, right. So, to sum it up, what would you say to someone in a quick one-liner, two-liner that would just maybe motivate them or help them realize that they're born for greatness, but maximize that potential?
Yeah, I think. I believe God made us all a certain way and gave us gifts, and we need to be thankful for what we have, and we need to not compare with everybody. We need to think about the gifts we have and try to think of how we can honor God by using them in the right way.
It was such an honor sitting down with Coach Mark Richt of Georgia, and as he has led us to our number 3, Coach Bobby Bowden, we're excited to see how this story continues to build, as the power of influence is very obvious in the lives of these men. Until next time, keep serving others and chasing your dreams.